afternoon and welcome to this. Good afternoon and welcome to this workshop for the Children's Trust of Alachua County. It is a workshop, it's a budget workshop and not our regular board meeting, which will start at 4 p.m. this afternoon, where we intend to have more members and participation and quorum. But as a reminder to all of us, and particularly to our guests here today and everyone online who may be participating, the mission of the Children's Trust of Alachua County is to fund and support a coordinated system of community services that allows all youth and their families to thrive. Any member of the public wishing to be heard may come forward to the podium at the appropriate time. Introduce yourselves to the board. Members of the public will be recognized and have 3 minutes to speak on a single subject matter or to address a current motion on the floor. Workshop, it is more for discussion. The clerk of the trust will serve as our official timekeeper. Please do be reminded that our policy prohibits any unplanned funding requests from the podium. Should a member of the public wish to make a funding request, please contact the executive director or staff for consideration. Let's now have a roll call.
Member Tina Certain. Chair Mary Chance. Here. Member Ken Cornell. Dr. Nancy Hart, member.
Here.
Recognized virtually. Dr. Maggie Labarda, member. Dr. Kamala Patton, member. Honorable Judge Philip A. Penna, member. Treasurer Ling Pinkeson. Here. And Melissa Walker, member. 2 voting members present.
Okay, now we can go ahead and move on to the approval of the agenda with any revisions. Actually, we can. Stop and discussion? Okay. Pick up from the workshop we had, what, a week ago? And we are with our proposed budget for 27. All right, so Molly?
My apologies. Okay, so I would just like to open this to the board to discuss a preliminary and proposed budget for the fiscal year 26-27. Okay, so this here is just a dashboard summary. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and stand this way so I can see. So it's a dashboard summary just giving us a status about our key fund balances, where we're starting, and our projections for the future. So it just gives us a little bit of some key indicators. We can continue. Okay, so the proposed budget maintains a balanced fiscal posture, funds operating reserves, which we have extended to cover 3 months of operating costs, and directs the majority of resources towards children, family, and the youth of Alachua County. As you can see, the overall proposed budget is approximately $12.3 million, which is inclusive of 9.3 directed towards programmatic expenditures, grants and aids, and community support. And then the core operating, which is comprised of personnel and other operating expenditures, is approximately 3.2. Overall, in comparison to prior years, and as we stand now, this budget that we are presenting has a reduction in administrative burden, directs the majority of the funds, or is an augmented direction of funds towards community initiatives, programs, grants and aids, and to our strategic endeavors and priorities, while still being fiscally prudent, maintaining strong enough reserves to continue the sustainability of the trust. You will note that in comparison to prior years, there have been a number of reductions as far as personnel, costs, operating costs, and items such as that. This is primarily attributable to a restructuring or reallocation and direction of resources to appropriately reflect what we plan to expend. It does not mean that there is a difference in the amount of money or the amount of liquidity that the trust maintains. It is simply a redirection of resources and budgeting to our planned expenditures and not budgeting with the utilization of all of our funding and monetary capacity. As you can see, this is just a brief year-over-year comparison, as we just sort of touched upon. Something that I would like to note, and I think it's pretty pertinent, is that our operating costs for personnel, we had about a $573,000 reduction, which is about 25.7% from the prior year. Something to note that reduction still includes a 5% COLA adjustment. So when we get to that point about having questions about how that was plausible, we'll discuss that we are fully staffed and fully capable at this moment, and there was no operational risk posed. We have just been very strategic, very thoughtful, very prudent about the way that we handled the budget process this year. Again, this is just a graph, more a visual breakdown of the items that I just previously spoke about. And again, we can see it's reflective of the same numbers and subcategories. We were able to save additional in our operating costs due to the fact that we have now acquired a building. Thus, our amounts allocated towards capital projects have reduced. Overall, our reserve policy is balanced, where and all of the calculations that you're seeing in this budget maintain the gold standard, the highest level of governmental accounting standards. We also are being, yet again, I will continue to use the words fiscally responsible and strong stewards of public funds, while still standing behind our mission and doing all that we can to allocate the majority of our resources directed to support community initiatives. Again, as we kind of spoke earlier, our administrative burden has been reduced to 10%, which is aligned with the highest level of standard and operations for commensurate CSCs or trusts. This means that, again, 90% of our resources are directed at programmatic endeavors, grants and aid, and other community initiatives rather than our operations or administrative costs. AKA, there's less supporting someone like me, for instance. Just to go over some of the allocations, we were able to allocate, I'll skip over this one. We've already touched upon the implications from savings that we generated on the operations side, the personnel side, which again was just allowed us to redirect our resources stronger. Again, what this really and truly does as far as budget posturing goes is that this allows us more flexibility overarchingly. And again, we are continuing to monitor and validate this, but we are focused and directed on our programmatic and strategic endeavors that align with our new plan for the upcoming years. The unassigned unrestricted fund balance can be utilized to support and is utilized to support one-time strategic endeavors, as opposed to ongoing programmatic investments. The reason for this is that it aligns with our board policies and, again, with the gold standards of operations for children's trusts and children's services councils. And I would just say that one of the items that we took into consideration in this budgeting cycle was staying true to that facet and to continue to utilize fund balance or unassigned unrestricted fund balance for strategic initiatives that align with our mission or for emergencies that are taking place in our community, rather than the continual funding of programmatic programs year over year. Again, our revised budget strengthens the service capacity, meaning our ability to service our community and be responsible and strong community partners, while maintaining fiscal discipline and sustainability. Extremely pertinent just to lay in on the sustainability, because we want the trust to be able to continue to provide these services to our community that it has been able to, and part of that is to be good, strong stewards of the dollars that we receive and to be fiscally prudent and strong in our stewardship. Additionally, not only is everything mission aligned from the mission, aligned from a governmental standard, but also we were able to augment our fiscal sustainability while simultaneously augmenting our capacity as a staff. Overall takeaways. As we can see, we're directing the largest share of our resources to grants and aids and programmatic support, which I think I've said multiple times. Our program investment context, as we can see, approximately $9.3 million is allocated towards program grants and aid. The program allocations are organized by our strategic goals that align with our new strategic plan for the upcoming years. All goal level allocations are fully committed with a zero balance in the program schedules, meaning that we have already committed to the programmatic support that we will be funding for the next year. And more detailed, I think they're called the guts, about the specific programs, initiatives, and endeavors can be found in our budget book. Ooh. That's okay. So at this time, Belita, would you like to step in to discuss?
While O'Malley is pulling the link up for the program budget, based on our budget restructuring and the strategic realignment, I will walk you through the recommended program budget. As you can see, for understanding purposes, the status lets you know what it is. It remains, and then whether it's cut, and then I will walk you through the rationales. So we can see in Goal 1, this is our proposed budget for Goal 1 based on, again, the budget restructuring as well as strategic realignment for our new strategic plan. So, Amali, if you can go down just a little bit. The first section that you will see is where it says last year of 3-year funding. That lets you know that those were RFPs where we still have a contracted year left with those providers coming up in fiscal year 27. Under that, you see where it says cut, and I will walk through those rationales with you, which is the UF Health Access Clinic. If you don't mind, and you don't have to click on it, I have it. Thank you. So, can you all see? Okay. So the first cut is UF Health Access Clinic, and this was based on the fact that they are still developing the infrastructure to follow up with families and ensure needs are met after referrals. They are making referrals, however, we are not able to track if those referral services have been met, and we don't know the impact at this moment. So since the provider has not been able to collect needed data, we will not be able to fully measure this program's impact, and that is why it's been recommended for cutting. The next cut in this area will be ANA Doula Consulting Services. I don't know if you all remember where we had UF Health became a doula-friendly designated hospital. The plan was to also include HCA as one of the doula-friendly designated hospitals, and they declined. So therefore, that is no longer needed in the budget. Last, in goal 1, we have Doulio, where we Flourish Alachua is the program. We were training doulas to go out into the community. At this time, we're only serving 8 families, as well as we're training them, but they're not able to go into the workforce, so therefore we're not making a significant impact in the community as well. So those are the recommendations for goal 1. Go to goal 2. Under goal 2, you will see what remains, what has been reduced. First, you see that Boys and Girls Club under after school has been reduced, as well as Girls Place. This was based on budget utilization history, which this basically means that we looked at their history over the time since they've been with the trust and what they've been able to draw down at the end of the year in invoice history. However, what we will do with these programs is at mid-year, if this stands, at mid-year, in fiscal year 27, we will see where they are in invoicing, and possible funding can be added back into their program. Also in goal 2, you see Peak and Dolly Parton. Those will be moved out of our budget, and that funding will be coming from Alachua County Reads. Goal 3. Under goal 3, you will see that the first cut is going to be AMI, and just give me a second. Program has not served as many youth as we originally planned. This reduction is to reflect the number of kids that are currently being served. I will, if you can go down for me, O'Malley, please. I will come back to enrichment to discuss the cut for enrichment. Junior achievement, that is being cut. Basically, we were unable to collect the data that we needed that shows that we were making a significant impact in this program, and it was being implemented as it had been outlined in the scope. Also for City of Gainesville, that gun violence prevention, that was a one-time funding opportunity where we gave that money to gun violence, so that is no longer needed. Under University of Florida Spark 352, that was the youth engagement. At this time, it has not been, the impact that we're making is not what we had intended it to be, so therefore that is being recommended for a cut as well. And then Alachua County Reads, this could also possibly be something that could be considered under gun violence, or maybe considered under ACR as well. So to go to speak about the enrichment, the goal of enrichment initiative was very broad, and at this time it does not particularly align with our strategic plan. The initiative was to provide children and youth with educational programming and activities that extend beyond the regular school day, after school, or summer camp, to give children and youth the opportunity to learn and explore specialty activities that they would not otherwise have access to outside of their out-of-school time programs. Right now, under enrichment program, most aligns with goal 3.1, safe spaces. And the strategies is to provide a coordinated network of out-of-school time programs, as well as promote awareness and skill development in programs, such as self-regulation, conflict resolution, or planning. 6 out of the 13 currently funded enrichment programs include SEL, skill building related self-awareness, and conflict resolution explicitly. Other programs include skill building, learning to play instruments, STEM, and craft. Enrichment initiative scope does not provide requirements or specifications that ensure participants are receiving the dosage to gain the SEL skills and that they are actually gaining these skills. So the recommendation would be to be strategic and intentional about skills we want participants to build and fund programs that utilize evidence-based practice, inform models to build those skills to ensure strategic plan alignment. In other words, a lot of the enrichment programs that we are currently funding do not fit within our strategic plan at this time. The plan was to release a prevention RFP for this fiscal year. However, with pending budget restructuring and strategic alignment, staff was unable to move forward. And any future RFPs under prevention that will include mentoring or enrichment, any future plans will be communicated when we are able to release that. Want to add anything?
I just wanted to add, certainly we all know what happened last week. So at this juncture, and I will say this again at the board meeting, there will be no RFPs before we know what we're facing next year. Or not our next fiscal year, but 27-28 fiscal year, so that we are ensuring that we don't hurt our partners, nor that we hurt the trust. So we want to be very clear that there won't be any RFPs released in 2026.
And I just wanted to add, our current strategic plan alignment enrichment initiative falls under goal 3.1, safe spaces. And children and youth have a positive and safe place to learn and grow. The indicators are high school graduation, school disciplinary incidents. Strategies are to provide a coordinated network of out-of-school time programs and promote awareness and skill development in programs. And as I mentioned, we went through all the enrichment programs and we found out that currently only 6 of them fall within that. So we would that would be taken into consideration if and when we put out another RFP for prevention. So moving to, oh yes, thank you, Marcia. Also, what we did do is we moved $100,000 to be added in goal 2, so that after school providers will have the ability to continue getting enrichment services from enrichment providers of their choice. So we will have a fund where there will be $100,000 in that fund for enrichment for after-school providers to continue to have some of the services for enrichment providers that they choose to work with, so that there is trying to bridge the gap, so that it's not such a hard blow to our enrichment providers, so that we will have that fund available for after-school providers to continue some of the enrichment services that they are now receiving. And goal 4, thank you. So under goal 4, there was a reduction for Partnership for Strong Families under the Family Resource Center consulting. Our goal was to have 6 family resource centers and put 4 in these rural areas. We have completed that. So since that has been completed, we added a family resource center in High Springs as well as in Newberry. There is one that is being added this year. So they will continue to stay on to provide support for those family resource centers so that they can be fully operational in fiscal year 28. Also, there was a reduction to the Business Leadership Institute. We will no longer be offering the master class, only the Accreditation Academy. We have reached pretty much our capacity of the providers for family centers, family daycare centers here in, or not family daycare centers. They could be family daycare or not, within Alachua County that were participating in masterclass, and we want to focus on the Accreditation Academy to keep them, to help them to stay accredited so that they continue to draw down those additional dollars that they were able to add by becoming accredited. Also, you will see that we remove Innovation for Impact grants, and we also remove the Florida After School Network, the membership that we have. We moved it out of the program budget, as well as My Sidewalk and Philanthropy Hub with the Community Foundation has been moved from the program budget into operational. And that concludes. It's not, yeah, it's not going away. We just moved it to operational budget instead of program budget. And that is it.
Remembering that now, moving that to operations, but the CNA memberships are for partners, so.
Yes. Yes.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question? As we know, there's a number of people from the peak literacy, and we've received some communication from we're concerned about what we've done. As you explained to me, Marcia, the peak literacy was specifically given a line item in our budget last year. So what we have done, and what we have done is we haven't eliminated the funding. We have moved it from a direct budget allocation to, it goes into the reading program, where we put $550,000 per year for the next 3 years. So their funding in the future, their future funding will come from that, as opposed to having their own specific line item. Is that a correct summation? So because I want them to know that, you know, that they'll still get money.
I can't speak about future. I can talk about this upcoming year, right? So yes, that is correct. When we looked at our budget for this year and did the strategic realignment, we removed peak literacy and we removed Dolly Parton, what's the other name for the program? Gainesville Thrives, because twofold. For Gainesville Thrives, we felt that it was better aligned under the Alachua County Reads initiative. Peak, we paused and said we knew that Peak was requesting $500,000 from the county. We wanted to have a clear understanding of what all was going to be funded in their $500,000 request. If our 65 kids that we've been funding for the last, is it 3 or 4 years? This would be year 5, right? So at least 4 for the last 4 years. If they could not be picked up in that $500,000, then we would ask Alachua County Reads to add them to their budget. There's enough funding there, and that more aligns with what we've been trying to do. Sorry, I thought Nancy was speaking. That aligns with what we're trying to do within our budget and our $550,000 that we have allotted to Alachua County Reads. So now, can I guarantee Peak that their funding will be there after next year? I cannot. But I wouldn't be able to guarantee Peak that their funding would be in our budget after next year if it was in this budget. Based on what the budget, the ballot initiative, I can't guarantee anybody that anybody is going to be in our budget after this fiscal year. We will come back. We will have to look at it. We are facing a $2 million cut if the ballot initiative goes through for the fiscal year 27-28, and a $250,000 ballot ad valorem reduction, or really a $3 million ad valorem reduction for 28, 29. So that changes everything that we do. For this upcoming year, everyone is funded, and peak will be funded from Alachua County Reads if, and I had this conversation with Leah on Friday, if the $500,000 that they've requested, the county has not approved their budget as of yet either. So if the $500,000 goes through and those 65 kids and the other costs, and Leah explained to me that there were some additional costs in addition to the 65 kids. If it cannot be funded through those funds, then it will go through Alachua County Reads. So I hope that answers the question.
They can leave here today knowing that they've got the money for next year.
Correct. Just not specifically in the Children's Trust budget. Correct.
Okay.
Just a second. Dr. Hart, I know you weren't here for the budget workshop last week. Did you have any questions, comments?
The only question I have is that it seems to me when we did our strategic plan, we put something about housing under goal 3, which was safe places. And somehow I saw it somewhere appearing under goal 1. And I'm trying to figure out how nurturing relationships relates to families that are unhoused. And I really thought that unhoused families had to do with safe spaces to be. So that was one question I had. What happened to those category deliberations that we had during the strategic planning process?
Nancy, can you specify what you're looking at? That would help us a little bit.
Okay.
Are you in
I
the
have,
plan?
sorry?
Are you looking at the strategic plan or you're looking at the budget?
No, I'm looking at the regular board meeting agenda, but I understand that this draft, the budget is the same budget that's in here. And so I was just looking at the categories that we came up with in the strategic planning, and then the things that were listed just now under different categories is very helpful. I'm really glad that we did that. But I just have a question where the problem of housing would fall. Did we change our mind
Nancy.
about that?
Yes, so Christy was just whispering to me that you're looking at the staff report for the board meeting. And if you will just hold on that
Okay.
so that we can get into a full discussion of that a little later on. But okay, I hear you. I believe that is still in goal 3. Yeah, it would still fall under goal 3.
Other than the presentation, getting into what we discussed earlier, do you want to hear that now?
Probably should wait because you'll have all your fellow board members at the 4 o'clock meeting.
Hello, everyone. Leah Gallian, Executive Director of Peak Literacy. I want to thank you, Marcia, for our conversation on Thursday. Just want to clarify that I don't believe that there's a reason to wait until the county funds our $500,000. That $500,000 covers adult literacy, DJJ. It covers released reentry, expanding our after-school and school partnerships. That is a clear expansion on what we are doing not to replace what we're currently doing. So it's adding 600 students to our plan. And so the other concern that I have, in addition to waiting to see, like, are we gonna lose $120,000, is that we have worked, we have submitted, I believe, I don't know, roughly 10 proposals to Alachua County Reads that were, we worked, providers, after-school providers worked in a collective, in a collaborative, spending a lot of hours crafting proposals for the needs that we see in the community. And we were given a rubric for those funds that specifically said the funds cannot be used for any one organization. So I would like to clarify if that is changed, and I hear what Director Kiner is saying, that she would fund Peak's program, the $121,275 from Alachua County Reads money, but under their funding rubric that we currently have, we would not be able to recover those funds from that. So I would like clarification on if they're going to change that rubric, or, you know, how that's going to work.
So two responses. One, the $550,000 that Alachua County Reads, Alachua County Reads does come with some caveats. Your 125 is very specific. So it could come under the rubric for Alachua County Reads, which is why we said it could move over to Alachua County Reads. The rubric itself still has to be vetted. So there could be some changes to it, but based on what we know about the program that we've been funding, it fits. So I don't know why you thought that it wouldn't, but it does.
Okay, I was specifically told it would not. So that's, I'm just, yeah.
You were told
By Teresa, that it would not fit under that funding. So
current program?
correct. This current program would not, it would be beneficial to Peak, and that it is a Peak program, and it's establishing, it's coming to Peak, and so therefore it is not eligible. That's what I was told. But I mean, if that's different, we're glad to take that. But is there any way that we can know for sure that we will be funded under Alachua County Reads? Because we have that $500,000 is not double dipping. It's not, you know, replicating services. They're a whole, I'm responsible for third grade all the way through adults. So it's 10 times the amount that it's a lot of money and and it's a big scope.
And we recognize that, which was why we wanted to have a better understanding of what all was going to be included. So can I tell you today definitively, without having a conversation, another conversation with Alachua County Reads? No. But I believe we've scheduled a meeting for all of us. I don't remember the date of the meeting. Is Mia in the?
Thursday.
Oh, so Thursday. I was going to say, I think I told you that on Friday when we spoke, that I would pull us all together to have a discussion and to make sure that everybody was on the same page. I am a woman of my word. We're going to have that meeting, and we will clarify with you, with Teresa and Heidi. Heidi is the coordinator now of Alachua County Reads, and we will discuss the rubric. So we will go over all of that on Thursday. And by the time we end that meeting, you should have an answer as to where your funding will come from. And I will say this, and my board can correct me, if for some reason you cannot, those 65 kids, that $122,000 couldn't come from Alachua County Reads, then we will put it back in the Children's Trust budget. What this board has been very clear to staff about is that they wanted those 65 kids to remain covered. And Maggie is not here to speak for herself, But Maggie and I had a conversation on Friday as well. So I do want you all to know. And I shared with her the exact same thing that I'm saying to you all now, and what I shared with you on Friday as well.
Thank
Leah.
you.
May I ask a question, Leah, of clarification?
Yes.
So these other proposals you talked about that you estimated at 10 that were submitted, those are like collaborative, or can you give me an example of what they?
Yes. So we've been,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Trying to print something out, because Tina asked for the printout. Is that what you were talking about?
I believe Tina asked for the rubric that we were given for funding. And then the other thing that I included in the email to Tina was some of the proposals that we kind of collaborated with together. And those are not, well, some of them were peak specific that would benefit them. So a whole portal where they would be able to get their own funding, their own literacy statistics to try and go after their own grant funding. So that was kind of one of them. But again, we want to withdraw those proposals if we're funding the kids. I'd rather keep the kids that we have than kind of expand that. Another was, I mean, a few of the providers are here to speak to that, but we wanted to share a literacy specialist across all of our organizations to go out and provide the funding that peak, or the things that peak doesn't provide. We had talked about that. There was some disability services that we put together. There is, pull it up.
I apologize. I
That's
didn't
okay.
realize that's what this was, Leah. I do have it.
You do have it, okay, yes. So a lot of different really collaborative projects that, this is from the provider's perspective of the boots on the ground. This is what's happening in our community. What do we see? How can we help? And basically to make, and then the peak proposals were specifically to help me establish capacity building so that I'm not reliant on, as you can imagine, as all of us are, afraid of the government, cuts. So what we're doing right now is trying to expand grant funding, business community, getting involved in this so that our programs don't fall apart if, funding is cut. So those were specific, but again, like I said, I would like to withdraw those proposals based on the fact that I'd rather serve 65 kids.
For your core 65 kids.
Correct.
Thank you. All right. Yes.
We allocated the money to Alachua County Reads for a reason.
Correct.
And it certainly sounds like what they're doing is exactly what we wanted to do. So when you involved in that meeting, I would hope that you would emphasize that, we gave that money for a reason. And if somebody's doing what we want, why are you making it complicated?
Thank you. I don't think that they're making it complicated. I think they're making it fair so that all the funding isn't going to one organization, understanding that Peak took the lead to bring together a cohort, and listening to the cohort is important, but also making sure that Alachua County Reads follows the plan. And now, to be perfectly honest, the plan has been, kind of tweaked and turned upside down a couple of times, which was somewhat expected as we figured this out. Oh, I thought you were back over there. Kudos to Leah and to Peak, because Peak was already working. Peak has a history. They have been out here beating, the streets, and we are appreciative, which again was why it was important in all of the letters and calls that came in for me to say that Peak has been a trusted partner of the trust. But as we move forward, right, we're going to be bringing more people into the fold. We're going to be working with everybody. And we want to ensure that we are not doing some things over on this side and not looking at big picture. So some of the things that were not approved, they make sense, right? We've been talking about having an RFP for special needs. That's something we are going to work on. However, we need to do our due diligence on it. We're going to speak to everybody. I get it that providers have been working with families, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't still do our due diligence in determining what exactly we want to fund. We have an early learning cohort that is also going to be bringing forward some information about what is needed for special needs. And we will need to synthesize all of that information to then come back to this group, to this body, and say, this is what we want to fund moving forward. So we don't ever discount the work of our partners. We know that they are facing it. We know they've been dealing with it. And because we have the funding, we want to make sure that we do our due diligence in what we fund. We aren't going to fund everything. We can't, right? So we need to cherry pick the things that we know our families need the most and where we can have the biggest impact. That's what we said we were going to do moving forward.
So the Alachua County Reads, is it going to be the different organizations submit RFPs and they look at all the RFPs with the?
No.
How's that going to work?
So it will be, and we're still working out the details, honestly, Lee. I can't sit here and tell you
You don't know it.
100%, it's going to be this or it's going to be that. The way it's working right now, because of the way we kind of got started, it was a little convoluted with Peak receiving the funding from the county and us directing all of our funds to CNE. What we are trying to do moving forward is really put everything under the umbrella of Alachua County Reads. Anna Prizia said it so succinctly. Peak is kind of dealing with big kids and adults, right? And then everything else is going to follow or fall under the other side of the house under that umbrella. Part of what Alachua County Reads is doing is working with UFly so that we can get UFly into the schools and provide professional development for our teachers who are working with the kids and utilizing UFly in the schools. So there's a whole plan we're trying to move forward here. It has taken us a while to get it going, but I feel like we're finally about to get it together. But we need Leah at the table and then Heidi and Teresa so that we can move into year 2 with an understanding of who's on first, who's on second, and where everybody is. Heidi and Teresa will be at our joint meeting on Thursday, and so I think they'll be able to answer some more specific questions for you at that time. Okay.
Well, it'd be interesting to know kind of what is their budget.
Oh, and they can share that with you.
How are they going to go about accomplishing, the goals?
The public?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marla Meredith, and I am with Goodwill and Teens Work Alachua. Thank you for allowing us to speak today. As you can see, there's a document floating around here that you'll get in just a second. But I wanted to first off say thank you all for all of your support over the years and everything that you have done for this program. As you can see at the top of the page, interest has continued to grow in the program with more and more work sites coming on and more of that interest from the business community as well as students. We're anticipated to have 305 students this summer, and we had over 962 applicants for this summer. So you can see that is tremendous growth. And we're excited about how much the community here is excited about the program and what we're doing. We've maintained a 98% satisfaction rate amongst our work sites over the years, and students have continued to grow in their financial literacy as well as their workforce development knowledge. And we've done our best to hit or exceed all of our performance measures over the years, and all of this is possible because of the support that we have received from our partners as well as the support from you all. So first off, I want to say thank you. And to the point of today, the budgeting, I know you guys have been working really hard and making some difficult decisions, and we just appreciate the support that's coming from you on that front. And I wanted to try to provide some comfort in the fact that we are trying to be good partners and help where we can with that funding gap with our programming. As you can see, we have been working on some fundraising efforts over the last few years and brought in $166,000 in grant funding. Some of that was fully sourced by our fund development team and some in partnership with CTAC. I want to note we have $50,000 pledged from AT&T coming in for this fall, so we're very excited. They want to do a collaboration similar to our summer programming to launch this fall. So we're excited to have that funding come in, and we did receive $15,000 to bring in 9 additional students this summer. So we're really excited to have those partnerships. With grant funding, you know, we always try to apply, but there's also some that we swung for and didn't quite get. We will continue to do that. Our fund development team has grown, and we're really excited that they're going to be able to offer us some more support moving forward so that we can continue to potentially bring in some more of these grants to help not only sustain but grow the program. Goodwill, in addition, has contributed $108,000 to the program directly. In years such as 2024, that was able to help us push up that number of students specifically. And we anticipate contributing another $40,000 this year, coming in the form of an admin fee reduction from 10% to 5%. Additionally, we've launched an online giving program specifically for Teens Work Alachua, and so far we've raised over $1,000, and that is something that we continue to push and try to get out awareness about in the community. So if there is ever anyone who does want to contribute to the program, that is an online platform that is available for them to go onto at any time. We hosted a business open house to try to spread awareness about the programming and the need to continue to put into the program. Beyond that, I just want to talk a little bit about the different economic impacts of the program. So not only all of this money is going back, or the majority of this money is going back into the local economy to make sure that students have summer jobs and they're able to help afford things, but it also helps with our seasonal employees. We brought in 6 seasonal employees this year. Those are adults who are also gaining from the program, in addition to the local businesses who this is helping support their summer endeavors. A lot of the summer camps and things like that around here are relying on our teen staff to help to be able to run their programming, and it helps them put dollars back into their programming as well. So there's a huge economic impact from the program. And then looking forward, I'm excited to share that we are hiring a business development manager, and that business development manager will be responsible for going out into the community, raising more awareness about the program, bringing in businesses, formulating those relationships, and hopefully getting those businesses to invest into the program. We intend to have that position start this fall, and Goodwill will be paying for 25% of that salary. So their salary will not entirely come from our TWA budget, but 25% of that will be covered strictly by Goodwill. In the summer of 2026, we are also launching a one-to-one giving program. I will have some more details coming out about that soon. I'll make sure to get a flyer over to you all for that. And then we're going to continue our grant writing efforts and relationship building. I know our fund development team has been talking with United Way, Community Foundation, and a few other partners as well. And if there's anyone else you'd like for us to connect with, we'd be happy to do that as well. And then last thing, just to kind of sum up here, we are doing our orientation tomorrow and Wednesday. So if anybody wants to stop by Westwood, we'll be there from 9 to 3 with our summer students. And you're welcome to come see it all in action.
Marla, and reflective of Leah's point too, really great to see diversifying funding to business, and everybody's concerned with over-reliance on government funding. So,
Yep.
Hi there, I'm Christy Arrington, Executive Director of Girls Place. Happy first day of summer camp. On that note, it does feel really, really good to be able to tell families that they get a summer for free, so 9 full weeks, thanks to you all, so I'm grateful for that. I think in this budget conversation, the biggest piece missing is the direct communication with those of us who are impacted by the budget changes. And Belita and I had a very good conversation, and she acknowledged that that we knew things were coming in terms of the board meeting on May 11th and then the email that came out, but being surprised by opening the backup for today's meeting and seeing that we were part of that without direct communication. And I think I could echo that for Peak and the other entities as well. In terms of what Belita shared here and with me on the phone, expending funds and timeliness, it is hard to hire a mental health counselor right now. And we can't compete with the University of Florida in terms of how much money we have to offer. And so that's a hindrance as well. The reimbursements, the timeliness has really improved in this calendar year. And so I feel like it is a collective that both of us are involved in terms of fiscal and us as an organization. And life has really been lifing for us at Girls Place. And that my number one thing is being present for our kids and our team. So the other part of that.
Christy,
Yes, ma'am.
may I interrupt to
Yes, ma'am.
just, they may not know that they had a loss of a staff member. So
I appreciate that. The other thing is we're on a little bit of a roller coaster too, like as the board evolves. When we first started doing social emotional evaluations or assessments of our kids, our concern was that SEL was going to be used to grade us as an organization. And initially that wasn't the plan, and it has become the plan. And Dr. Labardo even spoke in an earlier meeting how social emotional learning is not linear. And so the expectation from the trust is that our children are going to get better every single year. And I will tell you that we have not been better in the last month. And so if we were taking an SEL assessment as a team, we'd be tanked in terms of our optimism and how we felt as individuals. Also, likewise with CQI, it was consistently said, it's going to be a tool to improve. And I understand that there's additional want for accountability. It's also just acknowledging that you guys have changed your mind, that these tools that we thought were going to help us better are going to be used as determinations for our funding. So again, just I think the direct communication would have been helpful because I also think that some of the organizations are going to be surprised after this meeting once that direct communication follows. But again, I appreciate you, Marcia. Thank you for that.
Hello, my name is Kim Lee. I am a parent of a recent graduate who also participated in Teens Work Alachua. I wanted to start by saying thank you to the board itself. And when Sade called me and my daughter in for the orientation, if she remembers, I just broke down into tears because I was literally like so grateful because my daughter, she was like searching and searching like for a job, stuff to do. And the platform itself, as a parent, as a single mom, I'm grateful for because it put her in rooms to excel past, like right now, she can take it into adulthood. She can take it into her groups that she mentors with, and like many skills that I personally wanted her to get better with. I felt like by her participating, it opened up her eyes to potential, to different like distractions, and how she can come outside of herself and be comfortable in like a room like this and say, I'm a kid, but yes, I can. You know, and my daughter, she, for the most part, is kind of standoffish. But once she started Teens Work Alachua, it's like I almost didn't recognize my daughter every day. She was so excited about all the community work that they were doing, all the other kids that they were engaging with, and I almost couldn't keep up. And she actually got the opportunity to speak at one of your board meetings like some months back, and she was so elated about it. I feel like I wasn't happy enough because she was literally on a 10. But again, like towards the end of the program, they had like I'm gonna call it a ceremony. And it's like, as I heard all the different testimonies of the kids, it's like their drive was through the freaking roof. My daughter was like, Mommy, stop crying. And I'm like, I can't, because like, listen at the stories, listen at the different diverse backgrounds, it's almost like the opportunity is possible. And like one of the staff just said, like there was like so many applications, and I knew it was a process. So again, that's why I was grateful that my daughter was chosen or approved to participate, because I knew it wasn't just I want to, yes I can. So she's currently at work today, but she did write a letter that I will read as fast as I can. Okay. Hi, my name is Rosaria Campbell. I wanted to first start off by saying that being a part of Teens Work of Alachua County has changed my life and my future in a multitude of ways. I am so appreciative of everyone who comes together to make this incredible opportunity happen each year for the excellent students of Alachua County. This program allowed me to land a stable job to build my college fund and secure a spot at my dream school, FAMU. Go Rattlers. While in the program, we talked about financial literacy, which is beneficial for all teens, but me specifically, as I'm about to head to college to attend business administration. College isn't cheap, so learning how to budget my money and make smart financial decisions helped me, and I have to applaud the TWA job coaches for expanding my mind on that. In this age, getting a job can be hard for a teen with no experience. Built in fall leadership, we learn skills and tools to help us show employers that we are the prize. TWA is all about the youth, whether it's life, academically, or just advice that they have to assist the youth in any way possible. To help me make sure there's potential bright in every room that we walk in. It prepares students at every stage of life, and the job coaches meets every student where they start to help develop a successful plan for them. Youth need to be poured into and believed in to aid their future success, and TWA doesn't lack in that area by making sure every member of the youth grows tenfold from where they begun. This program is beneficial in a multitude of ways, as I stated, and I couldn't be here today because I'm currently at work, which I have to give applause to TWA for. Thank you. So lastly, I again wanted to thank everyone on the board, anyone present from the community for providing the space for the resources for these kids, the funding, because it is not cheap. So I just pray God continue to make provisions for that to happen. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just want to, I'm just up here. I just want to give a success story. My son is actually.
I'm sorry, could you just say your name?
Yes, I'm sorry. It's Almonique Watkins, and I am just here as a grateful and thankful parent that's part of the peak literacy. My son has been in the program going on a year and a half, and just the success that it has really been great. And I just want to say this program has made a real difference in his life. Reading has been an area where he really struggled in and needed some support, especially in our public school system. Some children who need that extra attention or that additional one-on-one can intentionally kind of slip through the cracks. With Pete, they help fill that gap. They don't just work on reading skills. What we got from him and our family, they build relationships. My son has developed trust and confidence through his tutor, and that has helped him succeed, act not just socially, but academically. And what I appreciate most is how they generally care. They stay on top of his progress, they communicate with us, and they are invested in watching and helping him succeed. We've seen so much growth in just his reading ability, in his increasing confidence, in his improvement in school performance. And I just want to say thank you for providing that funding to us. And I can hope it continues, and I'm so appreciative. My family is appreciative, he's appreciative, we are all appreciative. So thank you so much. It is truly a blessing, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, I saw somebody in the front row.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say thank you to the trust for funding peak literacy. You know how I feel. My son had behavior problems, and he won Citizen of the Year for Alachua County. And that was a being around peak literacy, just the love, just the great leaps. My son is going to 11th grade, and he's still an A and B honor roll student. So, you know, you guys know I talk, and you know how I feel, and I'm a crybaby. But just thank you for funding Peak. Peak is doing big things. As me being the outreach representative, and I go out in the community and meet these families, and I hear them with their pain, and I'm able to help them and them to see my family, 2 special needs students, to hear you say the special needs, we need help in the special needs departments. And for you to say that lets me know that we're on the right path. And to see my son succeed and win Citizen of the Year for Alachua County, went from zeros to 100 and to the shock the whole school board. Like, what are you doing here? It was amazing for me, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Peak Literacy. Everyone who knows me, it's not just working for other one, it's working for someone who's every day with Peak, and that's me. It helped my family succeed, and I thank you.
Please introduce yourself.
For the record, I am Ashanta Lewis. I am the outreach representative for Peak Literacy. I am a mom of 2 autistic kids, one that was born nonverbal till 5 years old, one that was born with behavior problems, and now they have neither one. My son is now talking, and my second son does not have behavior problems anymore. And it is due to me being a good mom, me being an advocate, and also the resources from Peak Literacy. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Simone Gow. I'm here as a parent of a Peak Literacy student. I came here to just speak on the impact that Peak has had on my daughter. She is going to the 2nd grade now and started Peak Literacy in October. She was having problems with reading. I came to her teacher and tried to come up with some plan to get her on track. She basically was lacking confidence in reading. Her teacher was not willing to help me. Her teacher was not willing to send home extra homework, and I'm a hands-on parent. After the 2nd meeting with her, she advised and recommended Peak Literacy. Within the short period of time, my daughter was with Peak Literacy from October to the end of the school year. So that means she took the FAST test twice. My daughter went from below and almost not passing to in the 900s in math and also in reading. She has built her confidence. She's able to read. She, even if Leah could share her scores with you, she went to not being able to say sentences without pronouncing each word that she knew to now flowing through paragraphs with not having any difficulties at all. So I am asking you to continue funding for this program. I love this program. I love the contact and communication that we have, even when I had other recommendations on how tutoring should go with building her confidence and letting the tutorer step down and, you know, bring her to the forefront so she would do what she did in school. Leah was able to do that, asking her questions about what she's reading, building comprehension. It was just overall a great success. And thank you for having me.
Good afternoon. My name is Jared Folds, and I serve as the Community Director and Resident Service Coordinator at the residents at Oakview, an extremely low-income HUD community. I also work closely with high-risk families across some of the most underserved communities in our region. Every day I see the reality behind statistics. Nearly 70% of the children in communities like ours are struggling with literacy. And one of the biggest reasons is simple but difficult to address. Too few systems and organizations are willing to truly meet our families where they're at. For 2 years, I reached out to major institutions, including the Alachua County Schools and the University of Florida, asking for partnerships to bring on-site literacy program directly to our community. Unfortunately, every effort fell short. Our families didn't get support. They encountered delays, barriers, and limitations that that made it hard for them to reach out. Then in April 2025, I met with Leah from Peak Literacy. Within 1 month, we went from conversation to action. Together, we completed a community needs assessment and launched literacy programming directly at Oakview. That kind of responsiveness is rare, and it made all the difference for our families. Over the past year, the impact has been nothing short of transformational. Some of our children have improved by as many as 2 grade levels and are now reading at or near grade level. That's not just academic progress, that's confidence, dignity, and hope restored. But I also need to be clear, this success didn't happen in a vacuum. Communities like Oakview face unique barriers when it comes to funding. Because we are a HUD property owned by a for-profit entity, we often cannot directly access critical funding streams like CTAC. Partnerships with organizations like Peak Literacy are not just helpful, they are essential. Without them, these opportunities simply do not exist for our children, the most impacted children in our community. And as this impactful work has been, as impactful as this work has been, it has magnified something deeper. The literacy challenges don't stop with our youth, it extends to their families, to adults, and to entire communities that have been left behind for too long. So today I'm asking for you to consider what is truly at stake. Literacy is not just about reading words on a page, it's about safety. It's about confidence, it's about giving a child a real chance for life and hope to be successful and for a successful future. This continued CTAC funding for Peak Literacy is what makes this progress possible. Without it, this progress will be stalled. The children who already face the greatest barriers will once again be left without the support they need. For too long, families like ours have been asked to do more with less and to survive without the support they deserve. Peak Literacy is helping change that. Please continue to funding the work, protect the progress our children have made, and ensure that communities like Oakview are not overlooked. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Parker from IGB Education. First of all, camera need to raise up a little bit. First of all, I want to point out the obvious. Obviously, Leah with Peak has done a phenomenal job in our community. This is going to divert a little bit of what I was going to originally say. But I'm a common sense person. And the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. I just heard that part of the plan is we're going to give money and give it to the school board to come change our reading scores. Well, you're going to go train teachers. You're going to go train teachers. And I was a teacher for many years. Our teachers are in the war, they're in the trenches right now, so this is not at the teachers. But we're going to throw money at an organization as a whole that has failed our children repeatedly over and over again. And so, but we have community organizations that come and we have a solution. We're doing it. We're in the trenches. We're doing it. And the funding, we got to fight all the time to organize to where we can help and try and help each other get money. So I hear Leah's plight and it's phenomenal. I want to applaud you for you clarifying with her that her funding is not going away because it is needed. She found ways to make sure that our program had literacy programming when she didn't even have funding. So I want to thank you for that. But then I also look at the budget that's proposed, and what I realize as the executive director of a program is that over 90% of the kids we've served over the last couple of years, we're not going to be able to serve come September 1st. Because when the mentoring funding ended in 2025, we were told the RFP will come out, or some similar RFP will come out this year. So we were prepared to answer to try and get, so we can keep doing what we were doing. The enrichment funding will end this year. I like to believe we were one of the 6 that was outcome driven because that's been important to us. we've came to the board, we came and put on our budgets that we wanted to be outcome driven, so that we wanted program evaluation, additional monies, so that we could level up, so that we could show that we're concerned about outcomes. We were denied that money. I found the money somewhere else to be able to show what we're able to do. So the thing is that we're trying and we're working to try and make sure that we're doing what we do. So the enrichment programming, y'all got me. Whew. That funding's being cut. And so now, come September 1st, I have no more funding for enrichment. I have no more funding for mentoring. So the only thing we have is still available, and I want to tell you, to get me out of the first day of camp, this is the first time I've ever left the first day of camp. But it's important to me because we're doing something in the community. I stand by what IGB does, my staff stands by, but we don't have the ability now to even to answer an RFP to keep the funding coming so that I can keep my staff going. So, and I understand, we've got over $3 million in federal grants and state grants that are out right now that we're applied for. And the whole federal grant system and the grant system is all messed up, and we get that. But what do we do is, we have solutions in the community, but what do we do to be able to get more funding to be able to keep doing what we're doing? I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, you're leaving?
Wait, before you all leave, so we have this whole dilemma of this constitutional amendment going to be on the ballot, and I want to say this before you all leave. So we actually need people to be voting no on that, because if the way we do property taxes changes, even this organization won't exist, okay? So we won't even be having these conversations. I just wanted to say that before, because we've lost a couple parents already, okay? So you may already know that, but that is just something that we do have to be cognizant of. We have to keep the trust in existence or have a mechanism of being able to do that, because under the proposal that's there, we don't know how this is going to impact special districts unless there's something that's coming out or was said before I got here. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Madam Chair, I need to bring something to the attention of the board at the next meeting if necessary. Now that we have a ballot item, what we can do and say as a board is very limited. There is a law, section 106.113, that basically says, I'll get into the uncertainty where we fall, that counties, municipalities, and other political subdivisions may not engage in electioneering and spend any money, take any position regarding anything that's going to the electors. The uncertainty we have is whether or not we are a political subdivision, and the law in Florida is all over the place on what is a political subdivision. So for the time being, what you say in meetings as a private citizen, you have the First Amendment right to say that. I would urge caution during meetings of the board to take any official positions, to spend any board money on this, because we have a very zealous Attorney General when it comes to matters of electioneering, and this is an area that is ripe for making law on.
But individually, so y'all act like y'all didn't hear me say that, but individually, if I'm outside of here, that doesn't apply, correct?
If you are in a situation where you can say, I'm speaking as a private citizen, not during an official meeting, but
right.
Speaking as a private citizen at a Rotary Club, at a coffee clutch, at church gathering, just speak as a private citizen. Say whatever your heart desires on whatever the issue is. You have the First Amendment right to do that.
Y'all didn't hear me say that, all right?
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. My name is Brandy Stone. I'm the Director of Community Health Initiatives with Gainesville Fire Rescue at the City of Gainesville. I wanted to first acknowledge and thank the board for the funding that you've provided to our gun violence prevention initiative. I oversee Impact GNV in my role at the city, which is the city's gun violence prevention umbrella. And beginning in fiscal year 2025, the Children's Trust had offered funding to the Gun Violence Prevention Alliance, and from that, the city took a portion of that funding to drive forward a gun violence strategic plan for the next 5 years, an additional facilitator for the city's Youth Steering Committee, as well as our violence interruption program. And from that, we are just very grateful for the support of the trust to make those things come to fruition. I wanted to share some highlights from that work over the last 2 years and what we've been able to accomplish. I know the board has seen the gun violence strategic plan, and at our update in April, we were able to go through that a little bit. But with the biggest part of our programming being our violence interruption services to the community, I wanted to share what those numbers have looked like over the last year and a half. For the first part of 2025, April through December, is when we had the program launched and running. Our team had 685 field contacts referred youth and families in our community to 222 community organizations, conducted 142 home visits, and did 222 neighborhood canvasses in high-risk communities throughout Alachua County. They also were involved in community outreach and youth engagement through movie nights, cookouts, open houses, mentorship, things like that as well. When we look at what we've been able to accomplish so far in calendar year 2026, which is January through May, we've more than doubled those numbers. So we've had 1,467 field contacts, referred to 172 community agencies, participated in 30 plus community outreach events and engagements, done multiple community canvases, and hosted 108 youth through our STEM programming at the Clarence R. Kelly Center. So our team has been quite busy, especially over the last 6 months, really working to grow their impact, specifically in neighborhoods that have been identified as having high rates of violence or are at high risk of violence. While I acknowledge that in the budget, the funding proposed to the Alliance and specifically the city was intended to be a one-time request, Again, we are extremely grateful for that. The city is interested in continuing partnership with the Children's Trust if that were to be something that is possible. I'm sure that everybody is aware of some of the budget cuts that are, potentially affecting many of us, and with that, we are exploring alternate funding sources, creative funding sources, and remain open to a partnership with the Children's Trust if that is desired. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Excuse a moment. Madam Chair, if this is on the same topic as the previous comment,
Is
we
this
will
on the
have to
same?
limit
No,
time.
ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, ma'am, I just wanted to share a highlight from the work that we've done with Impact GMV. Over our partnership over the last year, we have seen a decrease in gun violence within our community of 80% due to some of the programming and the supports that they provided the residents at Oakview. So I just wanted to make sure that was highlighted at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to light.
Hello, my name is Amy Grossman, and I am here to represent and support peak literacy. I'm a parent of 4 children. My oldest is on the spectrum and actually did teens work, so thank you. And my youngest, who started, he'll be in 4th grade, and he has dyslexia. He's in public school. I'm also a teacher myself, so I know that it's a real struggle for a teacher to, a teacher does their best to support in the classroom, and they have a lot of students that they try to help, and they do their best with the time and the resources that they have. But my son was still struggling, and we found peak literacy. And his confidence has just soared since he started peak literacy. In the fall of last year, he took the FAST test, and 3rd grade, I guess, is a big year, right? There's a lot of pressure to do well on that test. And he got a 2. He was struggling. But he started peak literacy shortly after that, and when he took his second test, he got a 5. I just think that's, sorry. To see a child struggle and not know how to help them, it's really hard. But then to be able to find the kind of support that we did for him, I just want to thank all of you. What I hear in this room, as you were talking about the budget, is that you believe in Peak and you want to support Peak, and I really appreciate that. And I wanted to come up here and thank you. Yeah, it really is a wonderful program. Thanks.
Congratulations to your son. Else? Fellow board members, including comments, questions? Pardon me? I believe so. I did hear something I'd love, well, I do have one question. Last week we were talking about the difficulty of funds and the budgeting process, and the idea of, and with the new adoption of the strategic plan and the particular impact in the enrichment area. That fund for enrichments, and you may not have thought this through yet, but the $100,000 that's been set aside for after-school providers to access to bring enrichment to their sites, how do you all envision that working, or?
Gotten there yet.
Okay.
We just, for now, just the 100,000 set aside.
Great. And then the other thing I heard this afternoon that I think we can just talk about and talk about how to be supportive of is just the communication. Strong and forthright, and including with that, once we know how to get that out to providers.
Initially sent it through Sammons, where we have every email, but I spoke with Marsha about it this morning. But I think in addition to what we send through Sammons, because sometimes they don't, it gets overlooked, but coming from a contract manager, it would probably be received and looked at besides Sammons, because they can get a lot of emails from Sammons. They can get inundated. It could go to a spam folder. So that is something that we'll look at doing in the future to make sure that it also, not in addition to Sammons, that it comes from contract managers.
Thank you, Belita. And we can do it earlier, right? We can always be better. When we had a conversation with the board way back, I say way back, in February, we talked about we were going to be looking at doing some strategic alignment. That would mean that some programs might be sunset. We had a really big discussion about this, and we could have sent something out at that time, right? We wanted to wait until we really went through the budget so as not to alarm our programs. And so maybe something in between. We send something out early in the year when we know there are going to be some potential cuts or reductions, and then we send something out again, right? Once we have a feel for what the budget is actually going to look like, and then we could send something out a third time. Again, not to alarm, but to ensure that everybody is aware. And then I will ask our partners, right? Even though you may not think that it's referring to you, right? Because sometimes we see things and we go, well, that's not going to be me. To help us either, say, hey, y'all, I got something. What does this mean? Because then that alerts us to the fact that maybe you all aren't aware of where we're going and what we're doing and what we've been discussing. So I think we can own that we can do this better and earlier. And I commit to making sure that we do next year.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I was late. I had another appointment, because I wasn't gonna be here, so. Anyway, so I don't know what's been said and before, but I do, the gentleman that left, Jeff, was IGB? He said something that wasn't gonna say anything, but it really did make me, based on the conversation you and I had. I think we really need to look very critically. The statute doesn't allow the trust to pay the school district for service. Get funded. And I think it is almost an error in a sense of us going through UF to train them. The district gets money to train its teachers, right? Got some, be careful what I say. Teachers have a lot on their plate. So what I don't want, he said something that of us investing money in a system that has failed students. And I don't disagree with that. I actually agree with him in a sense of us putting a large lump of money. The district has almost a $700 million budget, 600 and change, high 600 millions, okay? And there's a lot that goes into that. But I do think that comment is worth us pausing and considering. Resources are scarce. Those are the trained professionals. Most of them come through College of Ed. They've got their money, state and federal money. And it's not enough. I'm not saying like it's enough, but this is a limited pot of money. And where there are students who are falling through the cracks, that's why we have Alachua County Reads. Right? That's why we have the trust, and we've created that. And my point is why would we say I don't know, I don't recall how much it's going to be going to fly to train the district. You fly, I believe wholeheartedly in it. I am one of the ones who was toting that water for us to do that district-wide years ago. And we've got a renewed sense of commitment by this current superintendent in that, but I don't know if that will stay because we will be changing leaders, right? So I do hear what Mr. Jeff said, and I don't disagree with it, and I really do agree with him. Why would we prop up and put more money into a system? Not that it's, right? I hold the school board seat. I'm sitting here in the school board seat. I'm a school board member. But I do think we need to really think critically and about doing that. And I believe in UFly. The district spent a lot of its ESSER money to do that, to train teachers and to train staff. I don't know how many people who received that initial training are still there. That's something, when I can connect with Dr. Patton again, I'll ask her. That's on my list. But we have Alachua County Reads because we do have 70%, almost 70% of students of color not reading on grade level, not being on grade level for any assessment. So what we're saying with this, if we're trying to use that model, it's like we're saying we're going to put more into that model because with the hope of it coming out better. And I just think, as I said to you all on several other occasions, to my colleagues, my other board members, of us, everyone making a very good living at the expense of poor and marginalized students. We're enriching their financial well-being, but we're not impacting and making the impact and doing the work. We really should be working ourselves out of a job, and I don't think or working ourselves out of the need to fund literacy. And I don't think investing in the school system, that line in the school system, is going to get us there. Not from here. I think we've got to get some change on the other institutional side, as well as bringing in some change and some supports for families. I just don't think that is the way, so.
Turned it off. Thank you for sharing that, especially since you will not be here on Thursday for the joint meeting when Alachua County Reads is going to provide an update on what has been taking place, the update on UFly, their proposal, and how all of that will work, which ties back into our opportunity to have Helios here to share what was working with Pelly and Telly, I believe, from Hillsborough and St. Pete, which is basically some of what we've copied for our plan. But you're a school board member, so your opinion carries weight because you know probably better than we do what has been taking place in the school system. What I will say is what we don't want to do is not do anything. And while I hear Jeff made a compelling argument, we don't want to miss an opportunity to strengthen something that perhaps hasn't had the resources that it needs. So I will bring your concerns back to the group. The board is going to have this conversation, at least hear the update on Thursday, Tina. And I can make sure that if you have any specific questions that you would like asked, if you'll share that, I'll make sure that those are answered.
But make no mistake, UFly, I believe in it, and it has proven effective. The problem, the challenge, this is the challenge, okay? According to the collective bargaining contract, teachers have a lot of academic freedom. Now, the principal leadership in the school is very critical. So if the principal buys into this, you have superintendent pushing down to the principal, it's got to push down to the teacher, but the teacher can balk at it. And that's what we've had. In the school environments where the children of color are, we've had the most resistance of teachers using UFly. I'm just going to be honest with you. In affluent schools, no resistance at all, bought in hook, line, and sinker for the most part. Compliance, right? But those are the environments where the students are coming to school very well prepared,
already.
And they don't need it. So the environments where the children need it the most, you got the people not wanting to do it, and you can't make me do it because I got a union agreement that's keeping me from doing it. So we're going to invest in a model.
And perhaps incentivize those instructors to train and utilize the system.
We'll take this offline since it's recorded. Trust me, when we had some money, we had $86 million. We incentivized a lot.
And nothing happened.
Well, you get as long as the incentive is there, they will do enough to get the incentive. Some people. This is a frank truth. It's not pretty, but this is what I ran on, and I've seen resistance to people changing and doing it. But I'm telling you, we had $86 million, and we paid people to do certain things. And when the money dried up, the compliance dried up. And if you don't have somebody who's wholehearted and want to do this because it's the right thing to do, right? So I'm only saying that I don't know what's going to happen with our budget and us funding, how we'll fund people. But what I don't want us to do is to abandon models and to abandon funding on things that has given us some lift. Sure. So, I didn't have, running out the house, didn't have a chance because of some things to share some other info. We're seeing some lift from Peak, and if we get some UFly outside or something else that's outside that's lifting up kids and we're getting them, we need to be putting money to where we're going to get some direct contact and we're seeing outcomes in kids to get better. And I just have not seen it in our most neediest communities. I'm telling you, the data is looking really good in the areas where, right, yeah. But when we have schools that are whole school Title I schools, where 100% of the students in there are poor and African American, we have resistance in those teachers adopting this model, or they're new and need a lot of uplift. So is that the best way for us to spend our money? So we're going to use the CQ, we got to go use these same metrics we putting on our providers and other things, we put it on them. And if we're not going to hold everybody to the same standard about getting money, then don't grade anybody on that. That's how I see it. So
You have prompted another public comment, and I would suggest that when you're in Tampa with the Superintendents of School Boards Association, to see if Dr. Patton and you can chat with Kevin Hendrick and Pinellas, because when you talk about superintendent transition, going from Dr. Grego to Kevin Hendrick, and the amount of money coming from philanthropy in the subset or in the context of the school district budget is tiny. But how did they use it as leverage to make a difference and not have it be also a one-year thing, but and also including early learning? That was the other part of it that Pinellas did.
And we're doing that now with, them opening up Duval, because VPK, the state does not fully fund it. They fund it 3 hours a day. The students are there 6 hours a day, right? So the district is doing that, and she's uplifting and wanting to grow that. What I say, we have that, and we haven't heard wanting to push these initiatives forward. I'm just hoping that we can keep the next person that is hired would have that same mindset as her, because we had that gap. The person who started YouFly laid a foundation to train and had a model, train to train a model, our own staff trained to be able to do that. The next person, the guy who succeeded her, didn't have that mindset. So it was like all of that foundational work was, I don't say wasted, but when Dr. Patton came, it was kind of a restarting. But the problem that I have, or the challenge for our organization, is the environments where we need the school communities, where the lift is heavy, the need is greatest, and we need the biggest lift, is where we found the most resistance. So I don't think we should put everything in the thinking that us working with the U.S. staff, who was phenomenal. They were working with Hillsborough, Pinellas, St. Johns County before we bought them. I knew that. That's why I was pushing that, right? But you've got to be willing and have people just want to do that. So I don't want us to put all of our eggs in to think that that's going to be to get us where we need to do. We got to have a couple nails that we're hammering on, but I don't think the school district should be the biggest hammer, is what I'm saying.
And I don't think that the school district is going to be the biggest hammer, but it's a component, right? Because we know that that's where the kids are, the bulk.
They're responsible. They are.
The bulk of the time. So I hear you. We'll continue the conversation. Like I said, if you have some specifics that you want answered in the presentation, we'll make sure that we do that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
It turns out it's a hot topic.
It is, because we all care deeply about children, right? That's why we're here. Allison Marks, Executive Director in Kids Count of Kids Count in Alachua County. This conversation is a big one, obviously, and it's complex and it's nuanced. I am grateful. I am not a person that sits in your seats and has to determine budgets and the allocations of funding to solve these complex problems. When we were speaking about the school environment and school culture, Kids Count serves students from Rawlings and Metcalf Elementary School. Many of our students this year were taught by long-term substitute teachers or by non-certified teachers. Many of them had teachers leave abruptly, mid-year. I may be incorrect, but I believe Rawlings will have close to 16 teacher vacancies this upcoming school year. And so the majority of the teachers that will be coming in will be first-year teachers, teaching students that are at the highest need, vulnerable across so many domains. This is something I have personally brought up with the Alachua County Reads when I'm able to provide that feedback, that discussing school culture, classroom climate and culture, YouFly is remarkable. Kids Count has worked with YouFly since 2018, so close to a decade now. So I've seen the power of YouFly. I've seen the power of Peak and Great Leaps, because we brought that into our programming this year as well. There is concern, certainly, when we discuss things like training teachers. When I know, like you said, Ms. Certain, many of the teachers that really need it are resistant, and I understand it because they're given the world and told to hold it all when you've got children that are experiencing gun violence, children that are coming to school with abscessed teeth, children that are hungry and tired, unhoused. And so with my experience working directly in the schools, I just encourage the board, the folks listening,
the people in the room even, the schools are obviously struggling. There are challenges that are not easy to address because they're systemic. And I'm deeply appreciative of what the trust aims to do and has done since its inception, and what I hope it continues to do. And as a private citizen, I will certainly be voting and encouraging everyone I know and those I don't know to vote as well. But I wanted to share, as a provider that's in the community doing this literacy work with a highly vulnerable population, that additional training for teachers is never a bad thing. However, in what I'm experiencing and seeing firsthand, picking students up almost every single day, because I drove a van, in addition to executive director, I guess I should have included that in my title. Our students are coming to after-school spaces very dysregulated and upset because they are taught by teachers, certified, uncertified, long-term subs, short-term subs, sometimes different subs every single day for weeks on end. That UFly is a great curriculum, and it will not address the climate or the culture in the school and classrooms. Thank you.
Good afternoon, once again, Leah Gallion. Just wanted to point this out in case you didn't know, because when I met with the school district a few weeks ago, they were unaware of this, that there is a new law passed in Florida that retired teachers or teachers that have earned like quality teachers, like they've gotten some status that identifies them as a high-quality teacher, that they are eligible to receive $3,000 in funding paid for by the state to go in and coach other teachers. And so I do believe that there is a pathway for high-quality coaching to happen within the schools, using that funding from even retired teachers, of which we have plenty that are involved in Peak as well, to be able to capitalize on that investment that the state has opened up. And I believe, I didn't read it that closely because it was not something that Peak could do or wanted to do, but I believe it's multiple classrooms can be supported at one time. So I think it's like in a 9-week period of time, it's $3,000 for a teacher. So that can provide some extra funding for jobs in our community, as well as maybe offset some of these initiative money that could be possibly, funding could be kind of used from both pots to meet the need, so.
I was not aware of that. Thank you.
It's brand new. Yvonne Henson, Representative Henson was sponsored. I'm not sure the Senate sponsors, but it's just new. It just passed. But I didn't know it was for 9 weeks, 3,000 for 9 weeks. I thought it was a whole year.
All right, well, thank you so much for everybody for being part of a really helpful discussion, and thank you so much for the budget walkthrough and program implications. It was not easy. We said that last week in the and all the input from providers. Workshop is adjourned. We get to eat our popcorn and reconvene for the board meeting at 4. Thank you.